Welcome to the latest edition of Business Spotlight. I'm joined today by Anele Wyatt, and Anele is the Managing Director of Aderans UK. It's really good to see you, Anele. Welcome to the call.
Good morning, Gavin. Thank you so much for inviting me. Well, I'm the Managing Director of Aderans UK. I've been with the company for about 10 years. There's quite a lot of exciting and what people talk about later on strategies. But Aderans UK, we are a company that is the biggest supplier in the UK of wigs and hair pieces. And probably since about COVID time, we are slowly transitioning into being more total hair solution. So thank you so much for the opportunity to discuss that today.
You're welcome, absolutely welcome. So tell us a little bit more about this transition, because for a company that's been established for a long period of time, and obviously in fairly niche markets, are you looking to transition because of opportunity, because of necessity, because the market is changing? What's the key driver behind these changes that you're looking at?
I definitely think you've kind of just said it as well as necessity. I think when we are looking at how there's quite a lot of percentage-wide people that experience hair loss. I think every one of us knows somebody that is experiencing hair loss, and it's something that we thought a wig and a hairpiece is not for everybody. So when we do get our customers through, we sometimes have noticed that there could be treatment products, and it's the same as anybody potentially standing in the shower, losing their hair. And it's not the first thing that comes to mind is I want a wig or a hairpiece. It's always about maybe it's a product, maybe it's a device or anything in that direction. So I think for the company, it's a natural progression in regarding to the next step in kind of having everything under one roof. So when a person comes in, it's more about the approach, we call it holistic approach, have a really in-depth understanding on their hair loss needs and their lifestyle and taking that into consideration. And that's the reason we've actually advanced the business to appoint trichologists. So we now have trichologists in 3 of our 7 salons as well, which again give that opportunity to be more direct into regarding it might be the first step is treatments. So I think for us, it's kind of just doing everything under one roof, but allowing anybody who's experiencing hair loss to have a solution for them.
It's interesting. It sounds that there's education around this. So you've got the opportunity to educate yourselves on the range of techniques that you may take within your individual customers, but also an opportunity to educate your customers on their options. Because when something's happening to somebody for the first time, they not necessarily, they don't know what they don't know. So I guess part of it is educating on what the options are, but also perhaps educating your team on how to approach customers and get those conversations started. Would it be fair to say that was a big part of what you do, or an important part of what you do?
It's probably an essential part of what we're doing in regarding to training, education. For me, it is all about having that expertise, the knowledge, all those kind of additional elements to kind of speak to the customer from a credible and an integral point of view. For me also is in regards to trichology, of course, it's a big step in understanding, because we are dealing with stylists. Stylists of our salons are very capable in providing wig styling, customizing, all those kind of steps that they are very familiar with. Introducing something that is more on the trichology side, more to do with devices, treatments. We also actually incorporated scalp micropigmentation. A lot of people will think, what is scalp micropigmentation? That again is another kind of product where we could, it's almost kind of, it's like tattooing. It looks like a shaven head. So it's another opportunity that we are educating, training our either existing staff, or we taking on and make new collaborations with outsourced companies that have the expertise, that will then collaborate with us on, maybe they visit us once or twice a week. We have days that we have those experts within the salon. And it's just building that portfolio of great kind of experts around us to work and collaborate together in the future.
Wow, there's an awful lot in that. There's, as you say, you've reaffirmed the importance of the education. You've also talked about collaboration as well, and working with people who may have a greater depth of expertise. So I suppose in some areas, you know, I'm thinking of the Pareto principle, where you know there's some aspects where you only need to know 20% of what needs to be done to have the 80% of the impact. But there are other areas where you know the details, so you're mixing it up with where you've got deep technical knowledge and where you're bringing in partners to help with that, which is absolutely fascinating. What is going to be, I mean, you've introduced some terms there that I've never heard of before, such as, for example, you said it's not tattooing, but that sort of thing. When you're talking to a prospect and you're presenting them, or your team are presenting them with a range of options, how do you balance, first of all, let's look at it from the company's point of view, the balance between the financial model and what's the best solution for the customer?
I think through expertise, it takes time because you have to really realize what the needs are of your customers, how to envision. Because again, if you think about, for instance, you want to change from being a wig supplier at a salon to a total hair solution. It's not like a switch you can just switch on, because our salons are very much based on, you walk in very kind of traditional, where you would see wigs displayed. So now the transition period is about going the next step to have the salons refurb and re kind of modeled. So anybody can walk in within the salon feeling that their solution is not being dictated. So they have to go for that consultation first, really like for us to understand their needs, and then say, okay, maybe at this stage you are for treatments, I think you need to go for a trichology appointment, or actually let me book you in with our stylist. So there's very much kind of a remodeling going on. And I'm going to be cheeky here. We are actually just, the vision for us is very clear. That's very important. It's probably one of the most important things for me as a managing director, is have a clear vision. Your 5-year vision is there, and then work backwards. But one of the things is we wanted to really have this space, really kind of have the feel of almost like a spa high-end salon. And we have actually managed to do our first one in the Midlands, okay, in Barton Marina. It is stunning, okay. The first thing is about it you walk in and it's total hair solution. That's our first kind of building block to where we want to be as a company. It also has the facility, a training function room. Again, any future kind of education, we mentioned education earlier on, which is an essential part of what we want to do and how we're moving the company forward as well. But that is where we want to then collaborate with other companies. They can utilize the function room, everything to do with hair loss related and moving that vision forward. But yeah, I would say everything that we are doing is focused on the customer for starters, and obviously collaborating with the educational side, and getting that kind of structure of where we want to go. So financially, yes, it does cost a lot. You have to, this is where we are strategic, and maybe where we have seven retail salons, we are doing one at a time, sometimes two, depending on if it's a complete relocation or just a refurb. In regards to collaborations, of course, financially you have to think, but we do a lot of surveys with our own customers. We kind of set little goals in seeing what is the potential in that area. Maybe, again, if you think about men, we're still maybe 20% of our market is men, and maybe 80% women. But we have seen, again, since COVID, we're all on Zoom, we're all on Teams, we're all on videos where we can see each other. And I think men became more not just men, women as well, about their appearance, because you see yourself constantly. And I think since then, we've definitely seen an increase in the men's market. And it's something now that we want to kind of enhance moving forward. But again, it's also to do with them walking into one of our salons and feeling that they're inclusive into where they are stepping into. So yeah, there's lots of little financial things that you have to consider, of course. But then I would say do it one step at a time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and to model each part of the business. So when you know what percentage of your business is, is wigs, what is it, some other treatment or some other treatment, then you effectively can work out your margins. and your costs of those departments, for want of a better word, as if they were separate businesses, and then market them accordingly. It feels very much as though you guide your customers to the right decision. They're controlling it. They're qualifying themselves in with some assistance and some guidance from you. So, having heard a recent report on a radio program, I'm wondering whether there is an aspect of counselling training in your team as well, not just on the solution, but on how the customer is feeling about where they are and looking for any perhaps warning signs or any kind of points. Is that part of what you do? Is that feature in your work at all?
Oh, 100%. This is also where we always say our stylist is actually more like angels. We know a normal stylist, we always, they know our whole history, they know everything that we're doing because we just, talk to them all the time. And this just a normal stylist. Now, if you think about one of our stylists, the majority of our customers maybe have gone through chemo and they're losing their hair. We always say it's almost once they have, been diagnosed that they have to go through chemo, we are the first stop. Because hair is your identity. It's something that people, unless you've actually gone through the process, you don't always realize what an intense kind of effect it has. It's probably one of the most devastating kind of emotional feelings that people are going through. Just to give you a little understanding as well, in the UK, it's still very much seen as cosmetic. We work very closely with our European partners, and they are now kind of changing the model that it's more medical. So they see it as a medical device. We see it as cosmetic. But if you think about it, it should be a medical device because it is kind of psychologically has a massive effect on you. And coming back to our stylists, of course, they are hearing that constantly. And for them, it's also sometimes, it's difficult to deal with. But they are experienced. Many of our stylists has been with the company for many, many years. Even when younger or newer employees come on board, they will shadow existing stylists for a while. But we've also, about probably, goodness me, 5 years ago, we have introduced a health plan for our staff, which again, I think is essential part of where we're going. And they can, if any communication or any kind of conversation they had with one of the customers affect them personally, or maybe long lasting when they come to go in the evening, there is a 24/7 helpline that they can talk to any expert and dealing with their own emotions that they've gone through the day. I think it's quite important to do that. But we're always hands-on. We're top management here. Our doors are always open for anybody who's going through a difficult experience. I think it's quite important. And I think one of probably being a smaller company, I think the best decision I've made ever is get a human resource person on board. Many companies forget how important that is because, again, your employees is an essential part of your business. You have to look after them for them to be able to look after your company and your customers as well.
Anele, I think you've touched on a couple of subjects there, but clearly other people are very much a focus of what you do and the strategy that's that's being brought to bear on the company as well. Anele, it's been absolutely fascinating listening to you, and I really wish you and the company well. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Gavin, for having the opportunity to discuss this with you. Take care. Thank you.
Been my pleasure. Thank you.